graphical style. And when we play Super Mario 3, most of the stuff from Super Mario 2 is absent from it. And you're like, what the hell happened? Well, the story is this isn't really Super Mario 2. Super Mario 2 is actually Super Mario Bros. 1. It looks exactly the same, but it's redone to be like a super grueling hard edition of the game, okay? And when this came out in Japan, they said Americans are probably not going to like this game. It's like sickeningly hard. And so they ended up making this. They took Doki Doki Panic and basically facelifted the graphics to make it look like Mario and Company and called it Super Mario 2 as a filler game between Part 2 and Part 3. Why the fuck they did that is beyond any kind of like logic. I don't know. But anyway, I have another copy of...
Keep in mind, Super Mario Bros. 2 in the United States actually was not the real Super Mario Bros. 2. It was called Doki Doki Panic in Japan, completely unrelated game, and that's why the plot is so different in that game. But regardless, I digress. This game is the typical Mario
different world, similar to Super Mario Bros. 2 back in the day. Now, I fully understand that Super Mario Bros. 2 in the United States actually wasn't the real Super Mario Bros. 2 from Japan. It was actually a game called Doki Doki Panic that was just repackaged because they felt that the actual Super Mario Bros. 2 released in Japan was too difficult of a game and that American audiences wouldn't get it. But it was cool to be fighting with a different cast of characters, and at this point...
1, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Wii U. And you might say, but you missed one there. What happened to Super Mario 2? Well, the thing is, Super Mario Bros. 2, for those who don't know, was a completely different game in Japan than it was in other markets. In Japan, it was actually looked exactly the same as the original Super Mario Bros. And was just a game that had a much higher difficulty spike. But they thought that if they released that game to the world, it would be too difficult for other audiences. So they actually took a different game called Doki Doki Panic and just reskinned it to have Mario characters in it. And that's why Super Mario 2 is so different from other Mario games. You're ripping vegetables out of the ground and throwing them at your opponents. They didn't feel that that should be in this game because quite honestly, it's not an original Super Mario game. Now I'm gonna be honest here.
Shin Gabriel says this game is as Mario as Mario 2. You're right. It's basically like Doki Doki Panic. It's a game that plays nothing like Mario, except that it has jumps similar to Mario. It's just like they skinned Mario into it. It's such a weird game. I definitely agree. That's right, the Super Mario Bros. 2 that we know in America was not Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan. It was Doki Doki Panic. That was the name of the game, I remember. I say it's a tie between Mario 1 and 2, reason being I played them both before Mario 3, and I actually played the shit out of 2 and like knew all the secrets and everything for it, even though it's not the real Mario 2, it's actually Doki Doki Panic. I still like Super Mario World 2. In reality, the Mario World cactus isn't from Mario World, it's from Super Mario Bros. 2, which is really Doki Doki Panic, which isn't even a Mario game. That's the truth.
What it's called. Much like how with the original Super Mario games, Super Mario Bros. 2 doesn't exist in Japan. It's actually called Doki Doki Panic, and they just put a skin over it and called it Super Mario Bros. 2 in the United States and Europe. Dr. Robotnik's Beam Beam Machine is actually called Puyo Puyo, but then they did a skin over it and put Dr. Robotnik in it and said, oh, this is a Sonic game. No, it's not, but they wanted to sell it more, so they put Robotnik in it and changed the game. So they're going to look and play like the original. It's a good question, because we all know Doki Doki Panic was Mario 2 in the United States, and I believe in Europe, but in Japan they had their own Mario 2, which was very different. It was basically Mario 1. It looked exactly the same as Mario 1, only it was a much harder game. It had poison mushrooms and all kinds of stuff that the first game did not have. So, it's a good question, because you're right, the future games of Mario became kind of a hybrid of the look of Mario 2 and the original Mario, so I know what you're saying. I played Super Mario Bros. 2, which was Doki Doki Panic repackaged on the NES. And in that one, they were completely different characters. Their whole movement set and everything was totally different. So that's the one I played. I never played the original Mario 2, no. I already told you about that guy's name's Pokey the cactus. And the weird thing about him is he's from Super Mario Bros. 2, but not the Japanese one. He's from the American version of Super Mario Bros. 2, which actually is Doki Doki Panic. It's not really Super Mario Bros. 2. So it's so weird that they decided to put him in the game as an enemy in Super Mario World. It still blows my mind to this day they did that. Eat him. Who's it go, Archie? Finish them. What's funny is these guys from Super Mario Bros. 2, the American version, not Lost Levels, but they were in Super Mario 2, which was actually Doki Doki Panic. Yet they found their way into other Mario franchises. That's pretty weird, no?
Super Mario Bros. 2, that version you're talking about, was not actually Super Mario Bros. 2, it was Doki Doki Panic, which actually is a game set in the Middle East. And then they skinned it to be Super Mario Bros. 2 because they thought that Super Mario Bros. 2, the real version, was too difficult for certain audiences, so they made that weird game instead. So weird.
The game is really crazy with the throwing of bombs like this. Super Mario Bros. 2, the American version, which is really Doki Doki Panic, but that game is all about precision jumping and throwing of bombs and like projectiles. Like seriously, I got so good at it in that game, I think it'll always carry over to every game I ever play for the rest of my life. Used to be $1.50 and says, Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. USA is a fun game that introduced a lot of Mario characters to the series, even if it's not even a Mario game at first. I know. And they stuck. And that's the funny part, is that even though it was Doki Doki Panic with a skin over it, it stuck and then it changed the whole course of Mario, right? It really did. 250 likes on Nintendo, Earthbound or Mother 2 on Super Nintendo, Super Mario Bros. 2 or Doki Doki Panic on NES. This is the American version of Super Mario 2 that Japan didn't get, and I have never played a single moment of that game for the internet ever, okay? Or, we do a couple of the Game Pass games, was not the real Super Mario Bros. 2. In Japan, it was a completely different game that looked exactly like the original Super Mario Bros., and it was much harder, and they called it the Lost Levels, alright? When it got ported eventually to American audiences, I should say. The game that I played, Super Mario Bros. 2, is actually called Doki Doki Panic, okay? It's a weird game. A lot of killer, weird animals, little guys wearing hockey masks, an Arabian theme. Yes, I know it sounds weird for Mario, but an Arabian theme with actual Arabian-style music in it. It's a pretty interesting game, alright? I never played this ever for any audience. I've only played it for myself back in the day on my NES. The last time I played Super Mario Bros. 2 was an actual NES console. So it'd be pretty interesting to go back and play Super Mario Bros. 2, the American version, as a playthrough, and I believe that is available also on Nintendo Online, or I should say Nintendo Switch Online, alright?
Super Mario Bros. 2 US, aka Doki Doki Panic, which was actually the real name of the game in Japan before they reskinned it to be Super Mario 2. Okay? Alright.